All right, so a question I've been getting a lot on Instagram is why did you get rid of the Vette so quickly? Little context for this video. I owned a C7 Corvette for 32 days before trading it in for this 2SS 1LE. And the Corvette that I did have was a C7 Grand Sport. It was a 2018 3LT. Before that, I owned a 2SS Camaro. That Camaro was a 2020 2SS, and both the Camaro and the Corvette that I owned were automatics. This video is just gonna be, my opinion. I'm basically just gonna list off some things, compare and contrast between the C7 and the 6th Gen Camaro. I'm gonna kind of give some observations from what I noticed. So to go into the things that I didn't like about the C7, the biggest thing was the poor ride quality. My Vette had Magna Ride, but it's just so low that any tiny bump in the road it's just massive. Like, you just bounce around in the cabin. The next thing was the lack of technology inside. I know the car was from 2018, but it does not have parking sensors. You don't have blind spot assist. Infotainment is outdated. The display just looks older. It's very laggy. Like, when you press buttons, it takes a minute. And the backup camera was just atrocious. It was extremely low quality, was no help whatsoever. The next thing, the interior was just tight. So for reference, I'm 6'4", 205 pounds. I was always hitting my arm on the center. My knee would constantly hit the HUD button or the AC button, and it would change the temperature. It was really, really annoying, especially when you go over bumps every 2 seconds. Another thing, there's no accent lights. So in this Camaro, it's a 2SS. It has tons of accent lighting. On top of that, the C7 Corvette, the seats would just make my back hurt. Were not comfortable. Also, there's a lack of aftermarket support for that car. Now, I'm not saying this in terms of power mods. You could get everything the same for that car as you could for this. There's even different superchargers for it. Performance-wise, the Corvettes have a lot, but I'm talking like bumpers, hoods, trunk, fenders, skirts, diffuser. There's really not much offered. There's the Z06 or the ZR1 bumper. That's about it. I saw maybe 2 or 3 hoods online. There's one carbon fiber hatchback piece you get from Anderson Composites, and there is one diffuser that I saw online. As compared to the Camaro, there's the LT1 front end, the RS front end, the SS front end, the ZL1 front end, the ZL1 1LE front end. There's like 5 different trunks you could get. There's 20 hoods. There's not really the same amount of customization with a Corvette from what I saw. And the next thing is also kind of a nitpick, but the engine bay is just so tight to work on. It's a pain in the ass trying to do spark plug wires. I mean, on this car, it's a pain in the ass, but on the Vette, it's ridiculous. I had one of them pop off after we changed them, and I could not put it back in because it's just so cramped in there. All right, so the next couple things are things that I wish people would have told me about before just saying, oh, Corvettes are so cool, you should totally get one. Number 1, torque tube issues. Those, for some reason, love to fail. I've known 3 people with Corvettes, and they've all failed. The next thing, the wheels on the Grand Sport and the Z06 crack. Like the rim itself cracks for some reason. No one mentioned that until I had a Grand Sport, and they're like, oh, those wheels crack, huh? And I was like, excuse me? Along with that, the wheels that they put on the Z06 and the Grand Sport, when you turn the wheel, it sounds like your power steering pump is freaking out. Like your car will go like almost like your wheel is making contact with the inner fender, but it's not. It's just the tires they use, which was very annoying because anytime you take a sharp turn or at a low speed you turn or trying to park or back in, it's audible. Like you can hear that noise. On top of that, if you have an automatic, there's a transmission shutter. The 8-speed Camaros had it too. I'm not sure if it's as bad in the Corvettes or worse, but the Corvette that I had unfortunately did start giving issues with that. Basically, it just feels like you're driving over rumble strips and the car has issues changing gears. Along with that, there's an additional shutter when the car switches between 8-cylinder and 4-cylinder mode. I've had a couple other automatic Corvette friends and their car is all shutter. It is definitely noticeable when it's switching between modes in a way that the Camaro is just not. It doesn't do that. And then the last thing that I really had written that I didn't like was the exhaust. So stock for stock, I would say the Camaro exhausts are hands down better. Even my non-valved SS that I had before would pop, crackle, was decently loud stock. The Corvette has a nice rumble to it and it's valved, but it does not pop like these. I'll throw some clips in this video to try to give you guys a comparison. I even took out the secondary cats with an X pipe to try to make the Corvette pop because I was like, you know, if it pops, maybe I'll like it a little more if it pops. Nope, still no pops. There are a couple pros for the Corvette that I'm gonna say before I move into going over the Camaro. The first one in the, I believe, Z51 Stingrays, the Grand Sports and the Z06s, they're a dry sump system. So that means your oil is kept separate, like there's a separate reservoir for it. That helps with track use. The cars are a little bit cheaper to fix than a Camaro because they're obviously older, so parts are a little cheaper. The transmission is definitely cheaper than the 10-speed. To get a flush even in the 8-speed is like $300. For this, it's like $800. And just to buy a whole new transmission, the 8L90s are across the board out everywhere. The Corvette also feels very, very planted. You're so low to the ground, it handles amazing. You could fit massive tires in the rear. I think my car had like 335 or 345 stock. Another thing with the Corvettes is they all have removable tops, so that's a big plus for them. One other thing that I really enjoyed that the Corvette had that the Camaro doesn't is the customization that you could do with the display. So there's different modes you could sync it to. Like if you're in track mode, it'll have one look. If you're in sport, it'll have another, touring another. And it's also easier to arrange and customize the sensors, the temperature readings, and other diagnostic information on your main screen. You can't find those things in a Camaro, but you have to go through a whole bunch of menus before you could get there. That's about it for the Corvette. So I'm gonna move into the Camaro real quick. First thing I have written right now, Magna Ride in these cars is so smooth compared to the Corvette. Ton of tech in these. You got blind spot assist, your little mirror in the middle. For those of you that have a Camaro, you know you could flick it. It'll put your rear view camera through this camera in the back fin and you could actually see behind you. In 2021, they introduced wireless Apple CarPlay. The 1LE seats in this car are the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in a car, period. The 10 speeds are pretty amazing in these cars. There's plenty of room inside, it's not tight. And then the biggest thing I would say with these cars, when you look at a Camaro and a Corvette, I got this basically brand new. So this was 8,000 miles on it. It's a 2023 2SS 1LE. Before fees and everything, I paid $48,500 for this. As opposed to the Corvette, it was a 2018 3LT, had 52,000 miles on it when I bought it. I paid $50,000. This is cheaper and this still has a warranty. That just makes it so much better in my opinion. Just the peace of mind to have a warranty, but then you have the Corvettes with the tranny failing and everything, you're just stuck with it. Like there's just nothing you could do. You're just screwed because the car is old, it's gonna have problems and you don't have a warranty, but it costs more than this, which is new. If you're looking at a Corvette versus a Camaro, they really have the same engine. They're similar in a lot of ways. The Corvette's just a little bit lighter. I think it's like 300 or 400 pounds lighter than a Camaro. In my opinion, I would look at what you're paying for because with a Corvette, you're paying to get the performance, but with a Camaro, you're paying to get the performance and the comfort and the amenities that come with this that the Corvette just doesn't have. And I'm just gonna throw this in here. The quarter mile time, according to Google, for a C7 Grand Sport is 12.2 seconds, and the quarter mile time for a Camaro SS 1LE is 12.3 seconds. So there's literally a tenth of a second difference between the two cars. As far as the driving experience, the 1LE handles almost the same as the Grand Sport, but I think for the price, I would rather have this 1LE than the Grand Sport. And then also, I just briefly want to touch on the communities that surround the Corvette and the Camaro. So the Camaro, from what I've seen, is younger people, older people, people from all different kinds of lifestyles. I see other Camaros on the road, you know, they always wave, honk, rev. Everyone's always very helpful. Seems like there's more late model performance shops specifically for Camaros, as opposed to the Corvette community. From what I saw and experienced, it's mostly older white dudes, and nothing against older white dudes because I'm gonna be one day. It's just not the same. Like there's a couple younger people that have Corvettes, but it's, I don't know, people just don't seem as friendly. The community's just not as diverse with Corvettes as it is with Camaros. And then another thing, even when my previous Camaro was stock and this one's stock, people will come up to me every single day and be like, dude, this is my dream car. Dude, that thing's so sick. Bro, you drive the Batmobile. It's like an attention magnet. Versus the Corvette, I was getting compliments on it, but it was drastically less. I don't know. That shouldn't really be a deciding factor if other people like the car. It should really come down to if you like it or not, but that is just something that I noticed with the Camaros versus the Corvettes. I got way more attention and way more compliments with the Camaro than I did with the Corvette. I'm trying to be unbiased because I loved Corvettes for a long time, but I really only loved it until I owned it, and it just disappointed me. They're both really good looking cars, and I enjoyed both of them. I still like C7s. I just don't think I'll own one in the future. Like I said, there may be a couple other things that some people might dislike about a Camaro or like about a Corvette that doesn't necessarily line up with what I'm saying in this video. I'm just trying to put some information out there. If you're thinking about buying a Corvette or buying a Camaro, I just wanted to say these things because I wish someone would have had a video like this before I bought my Corvette, especially with those little surprise issues. If you guys got any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'm gonna get back to making regular videos soon. Just wanted to get this one out there. Sorry it was a little bit talky, but people have been asking. Appreciate you guys watching. Peace.